Hey friends, welcome back to Belle's Library. Today I want to share with you guys one of my favorite hobbies. It's one of my oldest hobbies. I've been doing this for about 18 years, and that is concerning book crossing. A few months ago I made a video about book crossing. You guys can check that out up here. I'll put it in the description box also. If you are not familiar with bookcrossing.com, go on and check it out. See what it means to be a book crosser and to release your books all over the world for other people to enjoy. But one of the things that we do within the bookcrossing.com community is called Bookbox sharing, or the traveling book box. I have here today a traveling book box, and this one is themed Victorian. So everything in this book box has a Victorian theme. And basically, the way you get a hold of one of these is you go onto bookcrossing.com as a member. It's all free. You can go onto the forums and you can sign up for a traveling book box. Now, you're going to want to get your profile filled out good and register a few books on the site before you try to join one of these book boxes, because we're usually pretty careful about who we send out a whole box full of free books to, right? So you'll want to go on, be a member for a little bit, get a feel for things, you know, visit with people on the forums and all that kind of stuff. But eventually, when you've made a couple of friends and sort of established yourself, you can go on and sign up for any number of traveling book boxes or just a book ring, and that's where you send one book around to several different members. You can do international rings, you can do them just within your own country. It is a worldwide community of hundreds of thousands, probably, of readers all over the world who enjoy sharing their books with other people. Okay, so you go on, you sign up for one of these book boxes, and then once the person who started the book box gets their list of 8 or 10 names, however many they want to do, then they will send out a box of books that are all themed. In this case, they're all themed Victorian, but there's all kinds of different themes out there. And then you receive the box, you check in and let everybody know that you got it, and then you go through the box and you take out the books that you want to keep and you replace them with the same number or more of books that are also within that theme that you're going to trade out. And then you send the box on to the next person in line. So it goes around this little circuit of people, and by the time the person who started it gets it back, theoretically they should have a box full of books that they hadn't seen before, right? Or they at least did not send out to begin with, that they can then read or, trade or share or whatever they want to do with them. So it's a really great way to get new books, especially if you do like reading within certain genres. It is an excellent way to share books with your friends. So all that said, this is the Victorian book box, and I wanted to unbox it with you guys so you could see kind of what we do. I have already looked through it and made my choices. I'm just going to show you kind of quickly what's in it, and then I'll show you what I chose and what I'm putting in. Okay, so first, everything that is in this box, first of all, is East of Eden by John Steinbeck. This is a book called Dear Theodora by Florence Irwin. This publishing company took some old books and republished them for modern audiences, things that weren't super common, that we hadn't really heard of. This one is The Personal Librarian by Marie Benedict and Victoria Christopher Murray. And then we have Mark Twain's The Innocents Abroad and Roughing It. The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman, The Yellow Wallpaper and Other Stories. Daisy Miller by Henry James, which I just read last month. And then there's a couple of these, they're comics, like graphic novels. The Case of Madeline Smith by Rake Geary, and it looks like it is a true story of Victorian murderess, Madeline Smith, but told in graphic novel form. And then there's another one of those. This one is The Borden Tragedy, the story of Lizzie Borden, I'm assuming. And then thirdly, The Madison Square Tragedy, the murder of Stanford White. Then we have another one of those republished books, A Gift for Abigail by D. Tilton. Now remember, these are all either published in the Victorian era or about the Victorian era. This one is A Doll's House by Henrik Ibsen. Electricity by Victoria Glendinning. This is Things in Jars by Jess Kidd. Starvation Heights by Greg Olson. This one is A Bottomless Grave and Other Victorian Tales of Terror, edited by Hugh Lamb. And finally, The Good Soldier by Ford Madox Ford. This book says that it is the saddest story ever told. So that is it for the box. That's everything that came in it, along with a journal. And in this journal, we mark down all of the books that we took out and all the books that we're putting in. And then that way, if you're looking for, you know, more reading recommendations that had traveled in the box but got taken out by the time I got to you, you can go through the journal and add some more of these to your wish list. Alright, so I decided to take out 6 books, and then I'm also setting aside all of these little storybooks, these true storybooks, the graphic novels about the different murderers, because I thought, well, I might read through them real quick. I'm not really into murder, but I do like history, and it's interesting, right? So I set all these aside that I may just read through these and stick them back in the box. I'm planning to send it off to the next participant on Thursday, which is like 4 days from now. So I may get some of those read first. All right, so the ones that I chose out, Starvation Heights by Greg Olson. I chose this one mostly because it is set in the Pacific Northwest, which is where I was born and grew up, and we lived there until just about 10 years ago. And it says an engrossing and compelling look at a shocking crime in another era. And it's a true crime story about British heiresses that came to the forests of the Pacific Northwest to undergo the fasting treatment of Dr. Linda Burfield Hazard. It was supposed to be a holiday, but it turned out that this was a very evil doctor, I guess, who didn't really know what she was doing and apparently ended up murdering some people. So that will be interesting. Like I said, I don't really read murder for entertainment, but I will read a murder story if it's historical. And the fact that it's set in the Pacific Northwest just kind of intrigued me. I lived in Eastern Oregon, where a lot of the Oregon's history began, right? A lot of the miners and trappers and just mountain people took up residence in Eastern Oregon before, you know, the cities even came into being. And so there are a lot of just like old buildings, old places, old, you know, things where there's just a sign that says such and such happened here. And there's a lot of that in the mountains of Eastern Oregon. And so that's one of the things I loved to do as a kid was, you know, go for drives for the day or just go off on my 3-wheeler or whatever and kind of explore some of these, you know, way back in the hills sort of places where some weird stuff happened. So I will be looking forward to that. Just maybe it'll be a little nostalgia. I don't know. Horrible though, but you know, nostalgic as well. Okay, then the second book I chose was Electricity by Victoria Glendinning. It looks like this is a fiction story, and it kind of is centered around beginnings of electricity. This woman, how she's sort of discovering this new world of technology and industry as her husband does these things to grow these electric companies or build them or whatever it is that he's doing. She's sort of viewing the world also. So I don't like to read too many, you know, reviews and stuff ahead of time, so I will give you guys a review on that one when I get through it. This one, A Doll's House, is the third one I took, and this one I took because I made myself a promise to read at least one play this year. So I will read A Doll's House. It's basically one of those, you know, social conformity sort of stories about women and the things that she has to go through to, you know, fit in with society or chooses not to. Apparently it shocked theater goers of the late 1800s. So we'll see what that's all about. I did choose these 2 reprints of the Victorian fiction stories. I'm anticipating kind of just, you know, those moral tales that tells you what will happen to you if you don't have good morals. Which are actually kind of fun sometimes when you're just in the mood for one. They're a quick read and give you kind of a look into the culture. And a lot of them, you know, like I said, are moral tales, and they're probably not awesome. That's probably why they weren't reprinted over and over again, but we'll see. They might be great. And then last of all, I chose East of Eden. So my mother has recommended John Steinbeck to me a few times, and I've meant to read him. And I think what the biggest hang up is when my parents were splitting up when I was 11 years old, my dad got a hold of a copy of The Pearl, which is by John Steinbeck. And I don't really know much about the story, but I'm assuming it's kind of like an allegory, biblical idea of, you know, getting a pearl of great price or whatever. And so anyway, it was just this whole dramatic thing regarding my parents and all their stupid drama. So I turned me off from Steinbeck, right? Because I have like that memory where my dad was reading The Pearl and talking about how it was so relatable and whatever. And so, like, on one hand, I got my dad being, you know, recommending Steinbeck, and on the other hand, my mom's recommending Steinbeck, but the whole idea of Steinbeck revolves around my parents splitting up when I was, you know, 30 years ago or whatever. And so I have avoided him. But the other day I was in Barnes & Noble, and I found this, pretty much this same copy of East of Eden there. And I was going to grab it. There's another one. I think that Grapes of Wrath is also printed similar to this. But anyway, they were like 30 bucks. I was like, oh, I don't even know if I'm going to like him. I don't even know if I want to read him. I don't really want to spend 30 bucks and then hate it. And so I keep looking at it, but I haven't picked it up. Well, my friend put this in the book box. So yay, I'm picking it up just for the cost of, you know, sending this box off. But she bought it in 2002. It was only $16. So it's like double that now, right? So good for her. But anyway, that's why I grabbed that. It kind of sealed the deal. Should I read Steinbeck? Should I not? Well, I got the book for super cheap, so I'm gonna go ahead and read him. All right, so that's what I took out, and I'm gonna show you what I'm going to put back in the box. So I have read a couple of these, and then a couple are just like unhaul from my shelf that I decided not to read. So this first one, Eminent Victorians, bought this to resell because my local library has a bookshop and they sell books for super cheap. And so I always go in there and buy a bunch and try to resell them on eBay. So this is one that didn't sell. And so I put it in the book box. And I haven't read it, and I don't know. I just don't really want to read it. So not now anyway. You guys can tell me if you've read this, if it's good. Maybe I'll grab myself another copy. I'm putting that one in. Ragged Dick by Horatio Alger. I'm putting in also this one I had picked up because it's on the 1001 books list, but it's just so not my style of story, I don't think. Again, if you want to convince me otherwise, feel free. So I'm going to stick that in. This one is The Turn of the Screw by Henry James, and I read this last week and I hated its guts. I will talk about it in my January wrap-up video here in a couple of days, but this was not a good story. I did not enjoy it at all. This one is The Children's Blizzard by Melanie Benjamin, and this one takes place in the Dakota Territory, and apparently it is a fiction based on, it's like a historical fiction, I'm pretty sure. So anyway, I've had it on my list for a while, like on my wish list, and then someone bought it for me, and so I've had it on my TBR shelf for a while. And I started reading it the other day, and it was just, I don't know if it was just moving too slow for me, I wasn't in the mood or whatever, but I decided to unhaul it, so we'll put it in the box. This is a copy of Green Mansions by W.H. Hudson, and I don't even know how I ended up with this book. Maybe I bought it to resell, but I don't think I'm going to read it after. It's one of those, like a book club edition, right? So you can't really even see what it's about. And so I bought it and brought it home, and after looking it up, I don't think I'm going to read it. So I'll put that in the box. And then finally, I really love this, and I'm not sure I even want to send it off, just because I love the cover. I love the look of this. So this is a first edition of Victoria and Albert by Evelyn Anthony. This one has been recently reprinted. And so I'm probably maybe going to regret getting rid of this. This is the original book club edition from the 50s or whatever. But I'm getting rid of it because it has a library sticker, and and the only reason I'd be keeping it is for pretty, right? And so I want to try to find one without the library sticker. So I'm going to take my chances and trust and believe that someday, some way, I'm going to find the same pretty cover without the library sticker. So that's it. That's what we do. So I have picked out what I want. I've chosen what I'm going to put back in. So I need to pile this all back in this box nice and send it off to the next person in line. When she receives it, she will notify the group, and so I will then be free of my responsibility with this book box until the next one comes around. This has been super fun. I have, like I said, I've been doing book boxes for about 18 years and just really enjoying trading boxes with friends. If this sounds like something you are interested in doing, you can check out the link in the description box about bookcrossing.com. I've got my username on there, and you can go to the site and just look it all over. You can look around without having to sign up. It's completely free. The only cost you ever pay is whatever you pay to ship, right? So I have to pay to ship this box off to the next person. The Postal Service in America has a rate called media mail rate, and so this box is probably only going to cost me about $12 or so. And that Steinbeck, like I said, is 30 bucks at the bookshop. So even there, I'm saving so much money by trading books this way. And so that's really all the cost there is just that mailing costs if you choose to do things that way. But there's lots of ways to participate in book crossing. You can just leave books in little free libraries. There'll be a little tracking number that you put inside, and then little instructions you can print off and stick inside your book, and then that way when someone finds your book, they can go on the site and put in the tracking number, and you'll know, someone in blah 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 state picked up my book that I left there on vacation. And it's just fun to kind of watch the tracking of your books, watch what people think about them, because there's the opportunity to leave a journal entry every time you track a book. You can leave a little entry of what you thought about it and what you're going to do with it next and all that kind of stuff. So go on the site, or you can watch that video that I made. You don't want to hear me repeat it all again, but go on and check it out because it is super fun. It's a great way to trade books. You will have more books than you could even dream of. Your wish list will be so sinking long. You'll probably rue the day you were born, but you'll also probably meet a lot of really great bookish friends and have some great experiences. When I joined Book Crossing, it opened my eyes up to the world, right? I was a housewife living in Eastern Oregon, and so it really opened my eyes to a lot of things. It's caused me to want to travel. It's caused me to want to further my education. It's really changed probably the course of my life, just being exposed to other people, other ways of thinking, other things they're reading. Anyway, I wasn't going to get wordy, and there I go, plug in Book Crossing again. So, hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I will see you soon. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for visiting. Thanks for liking. Thanks for being my friend. See you next time. Bye-bye.